So I click the recording, and now we're going to record the webinar. Please let me know whether you can see my screen right now.
Yeah.
Jack, can you see my screen right now?
Yeah, can see it. Looks good.
Yeah. Hey, people in the chat, can you see my screen as well? Yeah, Jack, can you please check the chat?
Yeah, they can see it. They can see it.
Yes. Okay, guys. Today we're going to talk about the cold email reinvented. The thing is that you do a lot of things. You try cold emailing, you try LinkedIn lead generation, but at the end of the day, you cannot really generate predictable revenue out of cold email outreach. And the current situation is pretty simple. There is no clarity whether your emails are going to spam, and if so, how to fix those things. You can't really rely on LinkedIn because it's actually too limited. And at the same time, it's pretty risky because if you're using some tools for automation and some wrong tools for LinkedIn automation, you're going to lose LinkedIn account. And there's too much hustle that doesn't bring any results. As a result, you're setting campaigns and getting some replies, but not generating enough leads and enough pipeline out of this channel. And it's just because everyone is using the patterns and the playbooks of 2020. And let's just take a look at what happened 5 years ago. Basically, back in the days, a lot of email outreach tools had the simple business model where one seat equals to one salesperson equals to one mailbox, and every SDR person were sending cold emails from their own main domain and their own email account. And that was fine. Everyone was using that. But and back in the days, we had way bigger limits. We could send up to 200 cold emails per day just from one mailbox. And that was like paradise. But back in the days, a lot of things changed because now and during the last 5 years, actually, a lot of tools changed their business model, and they started charging you not per the seats, but per the email amount that you want to send and per the contacts you want to reach out to. Plus, all the tools started adding more and more features. And now, for just a matter of $150, you can send thousands of cold emails per month using just one or two tools. And that sounds like a paradise. You can tell me, hey, Ilya, back in the days, we could send only 200 cold emails from one mailbox, which was connected to our main SDRs mailbox. Now we can send thousands of cold emails using the modern tools. And that sounds like a paradise, but it's actually not, because all of these things, because everyone who started sending cold emails, actually we have the second round of fighting from the ESP providers. Google and Microsoft started fighting against the cold emailing again and again. So actually, Google and Microsoft deliverability just went down. Google killed open tracking back in the days. Warm-up pool is actually super detectable. ESPs are implementing the AI spam detectors, and so on and so forth. Now we can see that if you take a look at the deliverability report, and we can see that a lot of our emails might go to spam on Microsoft or on Google, etc., etc. And it's going really, really bad. The second thing, Google killed open tracking. Now we cannot see who actually opened our cold emails, because in order to track that, every single email outreach tool embedded a simple pixel. Now Google is notifying users that, hey, here is the suspicious email with the pixel, so report it as a spam, and so on and so forth. ESPs are changing.
It looks like a couple people. Looks like a couple people might be having issues with the audio.
With the audio?
Yeah, quite a few people. It's like with the connection. Maybe try the camera off potentially.
Yeah, okay, guys. I will probably turn off the camera, and then we'll continue with the presentation. Okay. And Jack, can you please turn off your mic while I'm sharing the screen? Okay.
Yeah.
So, guys, let me know whether you can see my screen again. Yeah, I hope so. If not, please let me know, okay? So ASPs are fighting against spam. And on top of that, the replies rates dropped because the quantity won over quality. And now there are two cases. The first one, the current cold emailing is not personalized and not relevant. As a result, it's not bringing replies. But also, because a lot of people are sending cold emails, and that is becoming a really, really massive movement. People, your ICP, your buyer persona, your ideal contacts are getting too many cold emails, and if you don't stand out, you're not going to get any replies. As a result, we cannot find any more alternatives. Like LinkedIn, again, is super great, but limited and risky. We cannot scale LinkedIn. Cold calling, it's not actually working for every single B2B company. And the WhatsApp outreach, actually, it's pretty debatable and pretty risky as well. As a result, the current outbound is poor in terms of personalization. There is no prioritization. It's actually poor in terms of deliverability. So your emails might go to spam, etc., etc. And it's so hard to get any results out of the current outbound. As a result, we can say that the current outbound lead generation is dead. Thanks, everyone. Now we can start the Q&A session. No, I'm joking, guys. I'm joking that the current outbound lead generation is dead unless we reinvent that. This is why we have Jack today here and myself. Hey, Jack, how do you feel today?
Very good, thanks, Ilya. Hopefully everyone can hear us well.
Yeah, Jack is the sales expert, and today Jack is going to share his part about the cold email deliverability and the email validation as well. And Jack is the sales expert. Now Jack is working at ZeroBounce. It's a huge company. Probably, I'm pretty sure that everyone knows this company. But back in the days, Jack was also working at Instantly, one of the biggest sales automation platforms nowadays. And about myself, my name is Ilya. I was working at Lemlist. I was a sales hire at Lemlist. I was a head of growth at Expandy. Both of them are huge sales automation and LinkedIn automation platforms. And now I'm a co-founder of GrowthBand, and we help in-house B2B lead generation teams to level up. We actually implement the infrastructure, data enrichment, and a lot of other things as well. So today, we've prepared something really, really cool for you, because today we're going to go live and we'll build a campaign in live. But the most important thing here is that we're going to cut all the boring parts like loading screens or some other things. So today, you're going to see how we build the campaign for our own lead generation. So we'll cover today the first things first, anti-spam cold email infrastructure, how to build that, how to make sure that your emails are not going to spam, because this is actually the most important part. It doesn't matter how personalized your cold emails are or how many follow-ups you send. If your emails are going to spam, it all makes no sense. The second one, how to build the relevance-first outbound, how to reach out to people with not only personalized approach, but also how to pick the most relevant people, top 1%, top 5%, golden clients, golden contacts, how to identify them and how to reach out to them. And of course, we're going to go live and share with you how we are building the campaigns in live. So let's start with the infrastructure. Again, this is the most important part of the whole outbound lead generation. If your deliverability is poor, you cannot actually get any results at all. And that is why today we are not gonna dive deeper into some basic things, such as we are not gonna cover the please don't send the cold emails from your free Gmail account, or please don't use aliases, or please don't send too many cold emails, etc., etc. If you want, we do have the checklist with all the basic things covered and a clear explanation of how to avoid those simple mistakes. Today, we're going to talk about the most important parts of the building the infrastructure. So today, we need to understand that there are main things how your emails become spam. The first one is technical domain setup. If your domain is not set up properly, there is almost 100% chance that your emails are going to go spam. And it's all about those geeky things such as SPF, DKIM, DMARC, etc., etc. The email outreach setup. If you're sending too many cold emails, you're actually gonna be flagged as a spammer, because this is exactly what spammers do. The cold email content, of course, if you try to scam people or just try to send the links for payment links right away, etc., definitely Google and Microsoft are gonna punish you for that. And of course, one of the main things is the bounce rate. If you're sending campaigns and to the email addresses that actually do not exist, Google and Microsoft will flag you and will mark you as a spammer pretty quickly. And the last thing, recipients' behavior. Of course, we want people reply to us, but if you just purely send cold emails without any warm up or any support for our email reputation, we can also lose the deliverability. So the proper infrastructure is actually about a few important things. We actually need to have the domains and mailboxes that are separate and created dedicated for cold emailing. We need to have the proper DNS settings such as SPF, DMARC, DKIM, etc. We need to have a smart warm-up strategy. So we need to prepare our infrastructure for sending cold emails and make sure that we are showing to Google and Microsoft that we are good guys. We are not spammers. We need to have the correct cold email outreach set up. We need to have the ongoing deliverability monitoring. And here is an important thing, that your deliverability might be great right now, but in 2 months, you might face some issues. And if you don't catch that moment, if you don't know about those things, you're gonna wait for a few more months, and then it's gonna be impossible to fix the deliverability. And of course, you actually need to have the system to fix your deliverability and do the rotation. So all of those things might sound super comprehensive, and sometimes it is actually true, but let's dive deeper into those things. So first things first, how many cold emails should I send? Here, we always try to divide your contact base by several tiers. You might find thousands, 10,000s, like 100,000s of contacts you want to reach out to. This is true. But you definitely need to prioritize them, because not all of them are actually equal. Not all of them are decision makers. Not all of them show the clear buyer signals and buyer intents that so you can reach out to them. That is why we always need to divide our contact base by 3 main tiers. Tier 3, companies who actually match with your ICP but don't show any buyer signals. Tier 2, companies who show some buyer signals and match with your ICP. And Tier 1, top 1% of contacts you need to reach out to personally. You don't need to use automation, etc. But for Tier 1, it's clear. We can use our own current cold email outreach tool stack. We can send cold emails manually. But what to do with Tier 2 and Tier 3 types of contacts? Here, we actually need to think differently. We don't need to think about how many cold emails do we need to generate to send, right? Because this is exactly what people think. We always need to go opposite. We need to take a look at our metrics, at our goals. So, for example, how many leads do we need to generate? And then, based on this number, we actually go back and see, okay, what is our reply rate? For example, 3%. Okay, it's great. What is the conversion from the reply rate to the MQL rate? Okay, that's 10% more. And then we go back. We reverse engineer the funnel, and then we understand what is the amount of cold emails do we need to send per month. So the final mindset that you need to have is that, hey, I always ask, how many leads do we need to generate? And then we use and apply our metrics to see how many cold emails do we need to send. And then only once we know the bandwidth, the capacity that we need to have, then we talk about the amount of domains and mailboxes to create. And why it's important? Because here's the simple calculation. So, for example, our goal is to have 30 marketing qualified leads. That means for us 300 replies, because we have the 10% conversion rate. That is just not the benchmarks, but just the usual numbers. Out of 300 replies with our conversion rate of 7%, we need to reach out to around 4K people who opened our emails. The same happens whenever we apply the conversion rate to reply. So at the end of the day, we need to reach out to almost 6,600 contacts to get 30 high-quality marketing qualified leads. And that means for us that 6,000 contacts multiplied by the amount of follow-ups, because we are not just sending one cold email, we are actually sending cold email plus a few follow-ups. We need to send almost 20,000 cold emails per month, and that is a huge number. So in this case, we usually try to recommend everyone that to build the cold email infrastructure, you need to think differently. You don't need to think, hey, we cannot send that number just because we have only 5 salespeople or 10 salespeople. That means we have 10 mailboxes. Basically, what we need to do, we need to diversify the risks. So we always try to diversify the amount of cold emails we send, and then try to increase the amount of domains and mailboxes we use for sending, because of several reasons. The first one, whenever we have one domain and one mailbox that is sending 200 cold emails, that is super, super risky, because if you make even one small mistake, Google or Microsoft might ban you and your emails will go constantly to spam. So it's so ineffective. The second way, whenever we split this volume by several domains and several mailboxes, we diversify the risks, but we also show to Google and Microsoft that we are good guys. We are not sending too many emails, even though in total we are sending a lot. So in order to build the proper infrastructure, we actually need to create a set of domains and mailboxes that are similar to your main domain, but that are separate. They're not your main domains, because if you make even one small mistake, your main domain might be burned and might be damaged a lot. So whenever we create new domains, we definitely see, based on the data of analyzing 50 million cold emails, that the newly created domains are almost the same, almost as good as 2-3 years domains. So it's all good. When it comes to the domains, it's always better to use your local, if you're reaching out to specific locations such as UK or France, it's better to use local domains for sending cold emails. If not, it's definitely better to go with .com, .ai, .io, .co, and definitely never try to go super, super cheap. Don't buy .xyz or some cheap domains. As a result, okay, you do have domains, you have the capacity, you do have the domains, you do have now you need to think about, hey, what is the ESP provider should we use? Is it Google, Microsoft?
Hey, Ilya, before we get to that, we've got a couple questions in the chat. So one was, is it okay to use your own personal email for tier 1 leads?
Yes. So whenever imagine whenever you use your main domain and main mailbox, you definitely understand that you're limited with the amount of emails you can send, because if you're sending too much, Google and Microsoft will ban you. So we need to be really careful. That is why, yes, it is fine, but only for top tier contacts, contacts who visit our websites, contacts who show the clear buyer intent signals. And we need to maximize the conversations and conversions with them. That is why it's not only okay, it's definitely do that. And on top of that, use LinkedIn. And on top of that, use some other channels as well to maximize the conversion rates with tier 1 top tier contacts. But when it comes to not top tier contacts, here it's definitely not okay, because your capacity is low, and even if you make a mistake, and you're reaching out to irrelevant people, they're gonna mark you as a spammer. As a result, you're gonna lose your main domain, which is not the thing that we want to reach, right?
Yeah. And someone also asked about the recording, when that will be posted.
Yes, definitely. Tomorrow we're gonna send to you the recording, all the materials, all the links, everything. No worries about that.
Cool. And then another question, but I think you're about to get onto this, around which service provider is good: Google, Microsoft, GoDaddy, etc. But I think you're about to get into that now.
Yes, and the real question is, okay, whether I should use Google, Microsoft, or SMTP servers with your private IP address. And the answer is, the multi-layer infrastructure is the best. Again, we try to diversify the risks. We try to go and use several ESP providers, because again, the reason for that is super, super simple. Google knows way more about yourself when you're sending from Google. And the same happens with Microsoft. If you're sending to Microsoft from Microsoft, they know way more about yourself. But whenever you're sending from Google to Microsoft, okay, here is a problem. Now you're a no name and you're almost anonymous for them. That is why it's way better to send from Google to Google and from Microsoft to Microsoft. So whenever you have a diversified infrastructure, you can reach the highest possible deliverability by sending from Google to Google, from Microsoft to Microsoft. It's so easy to split the list of contacts you have by the ESP provider that they use. So it's not a big of a deal. The main thing is we need to have this capacity. So whenever we build the infrastructure, for example, we need to have the capacity to send 10,000 cold emails. That means we need to reach out to around 2,000 contacts, right? 2,000 contacts means around 10,000 cold emails per month. And for this, we need, for example, 40 mailboxes. In this case, we always split, for example, 28 mailboxes are going to be on Google and 12 mailboxes are going to be on the Microsoft. That means 7 domains on Google and 3 domains on Microsoft. That gives us the highest possible deliverability across different ESP providers. And a few important things whenever you set up your own infrastructure, you don't need to forget about a few things. The first one, you need to have a fully independent workspace. Plus, please never use aliases. It's way better to create separate mailboxes for sending cold emails. And in order to actually see the amount of mailboxes and the amount of domains you need to create, we do have the calculator. If you want, I can share it with you. So yeah, I can actually share with you the calculator. And here you can actually use this calculator for having, for example, this is our amount of leads we want to generate. And here, just apply your own metrics. As a result, you're going to see the amount of contacts you need to reach out to, the amount of emails you want to send, and all other things such as how many cold emails, how many mailboxes to create, how many domains to share, etc., etc. So here is.
Hey, Ilya, I don't think we can't see the calculator.
Yeah, I guess. Let me share my screen. So here is. Here's the calculator. So here you put just the amount of leads you want to generate. So for example, 20. And over here, you add your own metrics. For example, what is your overall reply rate? For example, it's going to be like 10% reply rate. And out of everyone who replied to you, how many going to be actual leads? So for example, 20%. In this case, you need to contact 1,000 contacts and on average send around 4,000 cold emails per month. You can actually play with this calculator. Just make sure that you make the copy and then you play with this calculator. And here's the calculator. One more thing, that if you need some help with building the infrastructure, we actually do this for you. So we actually build the infrastructure, we set up the mailboxes by domains, do everything. Cover all this geeky technical stuff. Plus, we do the monitoring and rotation and fixing. So we act as your fractional head of cold email infrastructure. So make sure that if you want some help, feel free to reach out to us over here. We're going to help you with building the infrastructure. So, guys, here's the link for I shared with you the link to the calculator, plus the link to the infrastructure, all those things. Guys, now imagine we do have the mailboxes, the domains, the infrastructure is prepared. We bought everything. We set up the DNS, the DMARC, everything. Now the question is, can we actually start sending cold emails right now? And the real answer is no, we cannot. We need to prepare our infrastructure for sending cold emails by warming it up. Sorry. Jack, can you please take this part and share a little bit more about how do you warm up your infrastructure?
Yes, I will. I'll turn my camera on. But if there's any issues with the connection, chat, just let me know in the chat and we can turn that off. So let me share my screen now. Perfect. So hopefully everyone can see that now. Just let me know that you can see my screen there. So yeah, like Ilya mentioned, once you've got to this point, before you actually start sending out your emails, you need to warm up the email account you're sending from and warm up the domain. Now for us, this is what our warm-up looks like on the ZeroBounce platform. So the way it works, you connect your individual sending account. So this will be any one of those accounts from which you're sending the emails. So you'll need multiple accounts in here. If you want to send a high volume, like Ilya mentioned, you need multiple accounts, each sending 20 per day, for example. So you can come in here, connect your account, and it can be from any email provider. If you fill out the questions here, it will actually recommend the best settings for you. Let me try.
Jack,
Try with
check it.
camera off.
Can you please turn off? Yeah.
Yeah, hopefully that's a bit better. So as I was saying, you connect the sending account, and what we'll do is we'll automatically send emails from this sending account to a list of seed email addresses that we have. So they're not going to your potential clients or anything like that, but we'll actually automatically send replies from those email accounts to your email account, and also remove emails that land in the spam into the inbox. And all of that is going to basically help to improve your sender reputation. And this is especially important in this case when you're going to be buying brand new email accounts. You don't want to start sending emails out straight away. What you want to do is connect to the warm them up for a few weeks, ideally 4 to 6 weeks, even longer, before you start sending any cold emails. And then at that point, you can start sending your cold emails once the account's warmed up, and you can see you get an inbox score, you can see the number of emails processed, and you can see all the statistics here. However, a lot of people think, okay, I just turn the warm up on, warm them up, then I start sending my cold emails, then I can turn it off. Actually, you don't want to do that. You want to keep it running the whole time in the background. What that's going to do, it's going to make sure that your sender reputation stays high. So make sure those emails keep landing in the inbox as you're sending your cold emails. And also, if there is any issues, you can spot that early rather than waiting until you run into issues with your actual outreach and you stop getting replies, you stop getting clients in, and then you're in big trouble. Instead, if you've got the warm-up connected, you can spot any issues earlier, and then you won't run into those issues. So that's the first thing when it comes to setting up the infrastructure correctly. Like Ilya mentioned, there's a lot of other things that go into making sure the domain is set up, the DNS settings, and we have some tools for that. So this email server test, where you can send a test email to this address here, and you get a breakdown of any warnings or critical issues that are going on with your domain setup, with the DNS settings, with the server. So you can see here, there's lots that have passed. Most things are fine. You might get some warnings that you can't really do anything about, like these ones here. But if you get any critical responses here, they're things that you want to sort out urgently. And any of those are going to mean that you're almost guaranteed not to land in the inbox, which obviously you don't want. So any critical results you get, you definitely want to sort those out first before even thinking about sending any emails. Similar with the blacklist monitor, if you're on any blacklist, it's very likely you're going to end up in spam. So you can actually add your domain or your IP here, and you can monitor it on any of these blacklists. One of the big ones to look out for is Spam House. If you are on any of these, you can then get in contact with the blacklist and try and get yourself removed by following the steps that they advise. So definitely recommend doing all of that first. And DMARC monitor as well. You want to have that set up within the platform. You can add it in here, and this is the kind of responses you can get. You can quarantine and reject. So that means rather than just monitoring the DMARC, you can actually move those emails either into spam or block those emails as well. You can see the IP addresses that they're coming from, so you can monitor all of that. And what DMARC does, it basically stops people spoofing your domain. So definitely something you want to have set up as well. And then from there, you've got your domain configured correctly. Ilya, I think if you want to jump into the next step, or should we go through the inbox placement test?
Yeah, guys, this is a really important thing. Okay, your domain symbol boxes are separate from your main domain, and then you prepared the infrastructure. Now you need to warm it up. You use the warm up that Jack just showed, and after that, you also set up the monitoring systems. Why it is extremely important? Because even though your deliverability might be great right now, but if you face some issues in 1 month or in 2 months and 3 months, and you don't catch that moment, it's going to be super, super hard or almost impossible to fix the deliverability issues in the future. Because the earlier you detect the problems, the earlier you can fix those things. That is why, can you please share the inbox placement test? This is super, super great thing to share with people.
Yeah, exactly like Ilya said there. With the inbox placement test, this is once you've configured everything in the domain set up correctly, you can use this to monitor whether you're actually going to land in the inbox. And like Ilya said, detect any problems that might be coming up after you've set everything up correctly. So with this, you send a test email to a list of email addresses for all these different providers. And for each different email provider, you can actually see whether you land in the inbox or the spam. So it's really useful information. And you can not only test the server, the domain, and everything you've set up here, but you're also testing the content of the email. So you can even run split tests and see whether you're landing in the inbox or spam for different providers. I can see here, for example, AOL. Okay, we know for AOL, we landed in spam. We can then do another split test with a new email content and see whether we can get it to land in the inbox. Or maybe you take the decision, for example, if you're constantly landing in the spam for a certain provider, maybe for that provider, you won't send cold emails to those emails and you'll try LinkedIn outreach or cold calling or another approach rather than risking landing in spam and damaging your reputation. So like Ilya said, it's really useful information that you can get from this.
So yeah, here are two things. Guys, I see a lot of questions about the warm-up and actually the inbox placement task. So let me explain a bit more. So whenever you're sending cold emails, and you're sending like 10 or 50, or imagine you're sending 50 cold emails per day, and just a few people are actually replying to you, right? Like 2%. That means that for Google or for Microsoft, you're actually a spammer because you're sending too many cold emails and just a small number are actually replying to you. That is why you need to keep the warm up on. So that means that in total, you're going to send not 50, but like 60, 70, 80 cold emails per month, or like 55 to 80 cold emails per month. And the half, or even more than the half, are going to be the warm-up emails. The warm-up email is basically whenever you are sending your cold email to a dedicated email pool. So, and that email pool is actually automatically engaging with your emails. So they're replying, they're clicking on the links, they're actually opening your emails, they say that it's not spam, etc., etc. So, and the rest, like 10 to 15 real cold emails. And in total, for Google and Microsoft, you're going to send in total 50 cold emails, right? And 30 of them are on warm up. So people are going to automatically engage with those emails. And the rest are just cold emails. So in this case, that's super, super important to keep it on. The second one is about the inbox placement tests. Because here you see that, okay, we can test the content, we can test a lot of things, we can test inbox placement across different ESP providers. And that is going to help us a lot, because whenever we detect the problem, you need to fix that problem as soon as it's possible. Because if you fix this problem just in 1 month, you're probably going to have way less score. It's not going to be 79% green. It's going to be 50% green, and then 30% green, etc., etc.
Yeah, spot
on. Yeah, okay. By the way, guys, again, if you need some help with building the infrastructure, we can help you. You can reach out to me. But there is a second thing. So, guys, yeah, you can reach out to us. Here's the link. But the second thing, Jack, there are just a lot of people on the webinar right now. Can you give something special to them? Something like the special bonus, like something.
That's a good question and a good question. I'll see what I can do. How about if you reach out to me on LinkedIn and send me a message saying you were in the webinar, I'll see if I can get you any special bonuses on the platform.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome, guys. Thanks a lot to Jack in terms of the bonus. So please, if you need some special something special, some specific bonus, please reach out to Jack's LinkedIn profile. I just shared in
Yeah.
the chat, and say you're coming from the webinar, and Jack is going to prepare something cool for you. Okay.
Yeah, definitely. I'll get that sorted. And I saw a question as well in the chat. Someone was asking about warm up. How is there an email pool that automatically replies with your emails? Who would allow the email address to be on this list? So it's not your email that's actually sending the reply. So you can get your own email address in here, and then it'll automatically send emails from your email account. But it's replies you're getting back, they're not from a real person. It's basically automated emails. And like Ilya said, because with cold email, most of the emails aren't actually getting engagement. It's effectively mimicking the engagement of a real person to keep that sender reputation high and make sure you keep landing in the inbox. So it's not people that are allowing their emails to be on that list as such. So I hope that makes a bit more sense.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. So probably now we can share the screen of how we are building the cold email campaign, right? Guys, are you excited to see how we're gonna build the cold email campaign? Just please tell us in the chat. Yes or no? Yes or no? If no, we're gonna stop the recording. We're gonna send you the links, the recording, etc. If yes, I see. Okay, yes. If yes, I'm gonna start sharing the screen and we'll show to you how we build the campaign. Okay. Okay. I see that a lot of people said yes, so now I have to do those things, right? Okay. So please, now I turn off my camera. Please let me know whether you can see my screen right now. Yes, you can, right? And yeah, first things first is that remember we talked about the different tiers and different the relevancy of how to reach out to relevant people, right? Not only try to personalize, but also try to reach out to relevant people. We always start with the strategy. Okay, now we covered the part of the cold email infrastructure. And again, if you need some help, we can build it for you. We actually act as fractional head of cold email infrastructure, or you can use the ZeroBounce and do it on your own, etc., etc. But whenever we have the infrastructure, now we need to send those cold emails to generate leads. Okay, now we always start with the ICP, buyer persona, and hypothesis. So we usually start with explaining who is our ideal customer profile in terms of the company. So we need to see, okay, what is the location, what is their current pain points, etc., etc. And the most important part here is that we need to highlight the relevancy criteria, something that, okay, if they have those problems, that means that your solution might be extremely relevant to them. If they have this problem or this challenge, your solution might be extremely relevant to them. The same thing happens with the buyer personas. And now we do this for the people. So for example, okay, we do have this for ICP for the companies on the company level. Now we need to do this for the person level. We take a look at the goals, needs, we take a look at the frustrations and the challenges. The most important thing here is that whenever we take a buyer persona, we definitely need to think from the KPIs perspective. What is the KPI of these people in this company, right? And then we can actually identify what are the actual pains and the actual challenges that those people are facing right now. And after that, once we do those things, once we have mapped the ICP and buyer persona, if you need, I can share with you the templates, by the way, that we are personally using, or I can share with you the guide on how we do those things. But after that, we need to create a list of hypotheses, because again, we never know what is going to work. We can only guess. That is why we need to prepare the different hypotheses to test our outreach campaigns. So we have, for example, we do have the ICP, then we do have the problem, and the problem and the ICP might still be the same, but the problem might be different in each hypothesis. And then the solution might be different in every single hypothesis. That means that we're going to test the combination of this ICP, this problem, and this value proposition. this ICP, this problem, and this value proposition. And then we are starting sending cold emails and starting learning what is going on, what is working, what is not working, etc., etc. If we do this in not a systematic approach, if we just try to randomly send cold emails, we are not going to get any reliable and predictable results in the future. We need to clearly understand what is working and what is not. And the only way to do that, just try and implement and see the results. Okay, we started with the ICP. We do have the buyer persona. It's already prepared. So we're not going to actually have those things. We prepared the messaging. We prepared the clear signals. We prepared the CTAs. If you need, I can share with you how we do those things in more details. But overall, okay, we've done those things. Now the question is, how can we actually find the most relevant people, right? And here are two main approaches, the static one and the dynamic one. Let's start with the most common static approach of finding contacts and leads. Usually, you might use ZoomInfo, Apollo, Ocean.io, Dealfront, whatever tool you're using, it's fine. The thing here is that you try to find the list of companies and people who match with your ICP, such as like, hey, I want to find the companies in London, who are from 100 to 100 people, they do software development agency, etc., etc. And then we can use all of those tools, but I'm going to use our approach, how we do those things. And actually, the best approach for us is go to the Sales Navigator, use the accounts filter, not leads filter, but accounts filter. It's pretty important. We need to find the companies who we want to reach out to. And here we use the industries, we use the Boolean search, for example. Okay, that's actually not quite relevant, but we might go to the industries and go to the software development. We can use the size of the company, etc., etc. All of those things that we know, right? But after that, the real question is how to find the most relevant people in those companies. Okay, in this case, we have too many companies, right? But imagine we have just 1,000 companies here. Like we can have the department headcount grows, for example, sales, and that went from 100% to a lot actually. And okay, we have 2,000 companies here. The question is, how can we find the most relevant people here? And in reality, the best approach that we could ever possibly found is use the LinkedIn Sales Navigator for the account search. After that, go to the LinkedIn, go to the Google Sheets and use this formula. Please take a look at this formula. Take a look at this formula. If you need, we can send to you this formula. No worries about that. And over here, on the left side, you're gonna see the company page, right? So, and all of these are the company pages. Here might be thousands of companies, and by using this formula, you're gonna get the link to the Sales Navigator with this specific company over here, and the list of people who match by specific title. And as a result, whenever we use this formula for more than just this, but we just use it for all the rows that we have, then we can scrape every single link, every single over here, every single company, and find and scrape all the relevant people like this one or some other people as well, by using the Phantom Buster or Texo or some other solutions. And it's going to cost you just a small amount of money, but at the same time, you're going to get the highest possible quality in terms of the data research. This is the secret sauce that we usually use for finding the most relevant people. Okay, you have the list of people and they just match with your ICP. You don't know anything more about them. After that, we usually upload that to Clay. So here is the list of people. Okay, we already uploaded that. Here's the list of people over here. We can find what they're exactly doing. We can find their LinkedIn profiles. We know their company domains, etc., etc. All those things are pretty simple. After that, we can definitely find their email addresses. And usually for this, we use the waterfall approach. And here, in terms of the waterfall approach, we usually use several providers, like it might be everyone actually, to find and to maximize our results. So we're gonna use, if the email address was not found here, it's gonna go to the next email provider. Here, found, okay, great, it stopped. If it didn't find, it goes to the next provider, etc., etc. Okay, after that, we're gonna have the list of email addresses. Okay, we see this, whether it's working or not. And on top of that, not all of the email addresses are actually valid. And one of the things that I'm going to share to you over here, you can actually use ZeroBounce to automatically verify the email addresses that you found on Clay by using all of those email providers. And it will return to you whether it's, you see, valid email or not valid email, etc., etc. Okay, we found the email addresses. It's getting easier and easier to do those things, but it's still not enough. It just means that those people match with our ICP, but we cannot find anything else. That is why we need to go deeper. We have to go beyond that. And over here, for example, we usually try to use some actual buyer signals. For example, whether this company is actually hiring for salespeople. If they're hiring, that means that they're increasing their team and the sales department, and they might want to invest in some tools, or they might need some help with some systems, etc., etc. That is a huge signal for us. In this case, we just use, for example, predict leads, and we say, hey, we want to find companies who are hiring, whether this company is actually hiring for the salesperson. And then we start running the enrichment over here, for example, only for 10 rows. And over here, we're going to see whether this company is hiring or not. And if, then we're going to use a different wording. Okay, only those 2 companies are actually hiring for salespeople. That means we can actually adapt and personalize our approach. We're going to say totally different things because we understand that their pains might be totally different right now. Okay, we can do the same things about the news. For example, we can check whether there's any cool news about the company. And if we found some cool news, for example, we can use this one and just find the recent news about those companies. And if we find something, then we can use it in our outreach. Okay, these companies, you see, these companies who are not hiring and there are no events, these companies are going to be tier 3 contacts. The companies who actually have and hiring and have some news going to be tier 1. And companies who have only one buyer intent, that's going to be only tier 2. So at the end, we've got the list of companies we want to reach out to, and this is super, super great, right? After that, we just export this data and add it to our email outreach tool. And I'm going to share to you how we do those things. I'm going to share with you our approach and our messaging. But before that, I want to share with you one more thing. Remember that when I told you about the email, about the static approach? In this case, we found the companies and people who match with our ICP and buyer persona, right? And then we try to find whether they have some buyer signals and some intents. But what if we go in opposite way? What if we try to find everyone who shows a specific buyer intent and then try to figure out who of them match with our ICP? One of the ways we do that, we use our own custom-made automation workflow. And what this workflow is doing, it's actually, we are feeding this workflow with the LinkedIn posts about a specific topic. So for example, we're helping companies with deliverability and building the cold email infrastructure. So we take all the people, we take all the LinkedIn posts about spam, cold emailing, cold email deliverability, etc., etc. We feed this flow, this workflow with those links to those LinkedIn profiles. And then this workflow is actually scraping everyone who liked or commented under those posts. After that, we check whether those people are our competitors or not. And then the second step, we check whether those companies and people are actually matching with our ICP. This is a pretty complex flow. Actually, it's not easy to build, but if you need some help with building, we can do those things for you as well. And as a result, we give the LinkedIn posts, the LinkedIn URL posts, and then as a result, we have the list of people who actually engaged with those posts and face and match with our ICP. And again, you do have the list of emails, you found out those things, but if you send those emails, if you use those email addresses for sending cold emails, you're gonna ruin your cold emailing unless you verify that. Can you please, Jack, share a little bit more about the verification process? Okay, you found the list of email addresses. Now we need to definitely verify those things.
Yes, exactly. So let me share my screen again. So like Ilya said, you've got your prospects that you want to reach out to. You've got a list of emails from some sort of data provider, or you got them through a waterfall flow on Clay. However, what you want to do is then take that list and upload that to some kind of email validation, whether that's ZeroBounce or another platform. And you can see an example of the results for this list here. Now you've got 56% valid, 26% invalid. Now, okay, you might say 56%, but let's just get these ones and send to them. But why is it actually important to do this? Well, let's say you didn't do this validation. Imagine you actually send the emails to these 55 invalid addresses. That means you'll get a guaranteed minimum 26% bounce rate. Now, I'm sure all of you know a 26% bounce rate is very high. And if you get that any kind of bounce rate towards that level, you're likely to get have issues with whatever ESP or sending provider you're using. You're also very likely to damage your domain and damage your sender reputation, which means that even the valid emails are also likely to get marked as spam, even though the emails you're sending to are correct, because you've damaged your reputation. So that's why it's actually important to do this, because if you don't do this, you're very likely to land in the spam, get blocked, and obviously no one's going to reply to your email, no matter how good the campaign is, no matter how good the copy is, if they don't actually receive it. So that's why it's so important to do the validation. On top of that, we've also got this scoring system that you can see here. So let's have a look. Within this list, you can see 30% catch-all emails. Now, catch-alls are a filter that gets put on a domain, typically business domains. We won't go into too much detail with what that means, but for validation purposes, it means we can't actually tell whether those emails are valid or not, and therefore the advice is typically not to send to those. However, you can see with this case, 13% is a huge part of the list, and just like all that work Ilya's done, it would be a shame to waste all that work and waste 30%, 13% of that list. So what you can do is run it through the scoring system, a very simple step, and you can do it all in one go with the validation when you upload the list here. And you can see the emails receive a score from 0 to 10. The ones that end up with a score of 9 or 10, you can be confident that those emails are actually valid, and you can send to those ones. So you can see we actually got 7% of those emails as a score of 9 or 10. It might not sound like a lot, but actually it's a large proportion of the list, and it can end up being quite a lot of emails, especially if the size of your original list increases. Even a small percentage is going to be a larger volume. So you definitely don't want to waste those as well. And it's a pretty simple step that you can do to really maximize getting as many emails as possible out of the list and making the most of all the work you've done in Clay and everything that Ilya showed there.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So now we do have the infrastructure, we do have the ICP, the buyer persona, the hypothesis. We found people on LinkedIn or whatever tool you're using. We found the most relevant people by using the Clay enrichment. We also showed you a sneak peek of how we are running campaigns in terms of the AI automation workflow to scrape everyone who engaged with the LinkedIn posts related to a specific topic and did the scraping. As a result, we found the list of people. This is the list that you see right now. This is the real list that I sent to Jack, and Jack actually validated this list. And you see that even though I use several tools for finding cold emails, I still got almost 26% invalid. That means that if I send those emails to 26%, to that number, I can actually ruin my deliverability and ruin my whole infrastructure, everything I did. So it's so important. Okay, the next thing, the last part of this webinar is the real campaign. So let me share with you how do we at GrowthBand build the real campaigns. So please let me know whether you can see my screen right now, right? Can you see it right now?
Yeah, we can see it.
So actually, there are so many different great tools for cold emailing, and you can use any of them. Not any, but the majority of them are pretty great. The tool that I'm going to share to you is reply.io that we are personally using for sending cold emails. It's one of the tools that we personally use for sending cold emails. And the thing here is that, remember this flow that I shared to you. Over here, this flow scraped everyone who engaged with our LinkedIn post and matched it with ICP and by persona. So here in the list that you saw that Jack showed, we have only valid email addresses. We only have people who showed a clear buyer intent signal. They engage with specific LinkedIn post, and they actually match with our ICP. Now the thing is, we need to write the email to them. And we usually start with emailing with a really simple subject line. And over here, we try to break the pattern. We usually don't say hi, first name. We usually say hi, and then just start the breaking the patterns by saying, hey, I know it was a few weeks ago, first name, but I saw you engage with the LinkedIn post on how to dominate the cold emailing game. Okay, this is a great icebreaker. We actually show to people that okay, here is why I am reaching out to you. Then here's our value proposition. And then here's our call to action. Here we try to go light and say, hey, would you like to get some more content, some more webinars, etc., etc. And over here, we just try to go light. And the most important part here is that you see those variables like first name, it's pretty clear. Okay, it's going to be the first name. The same here is just the variable. But we also use AI variables, something that helps us a lot with a simple personalization. That means, for example, one of the AI variables that we are usually using is the PS line based on the location. That means that the built-in AI in reply.io is going to go and do the research where this person is located right now in terms of like the city or the country from LinkedIn, and then personalize the PS line based on the country and some other things. So for example, it's going to be, hey, I saw, by the way, it's pretty bad weather in London these days, right? Or something else. This actually helps us to stand out and actually be different. Okay, that's our first email. Pretty great one, right? The second one, we wait for a few more days and we need to send the follow-up. And over here, we are sending like, hey, first name, by the way, who is the right person to talk to about the lead generation, the cold email of the company. We'd like to see whether we can help you. And over here, we randomize the text. Okay, we do have the PS section here, which is already prepared, but here we randomize the text. That means that every single person in this campaign is going to get a different email. Like it's going to be a totally different email here. The AI will still keep the same idea, the same structure, but all of the words here are going to be different. Why it is important? Because we can actually randomize our content that we are sending as much as it's possible. Because Google and Microsoft are actually detecting same templates again and again super easily. That is why for us, whenever we randomize the text and every single email is actually super unique, that is a really great sign for Google and Microsoft that we are not spammers. And of course, the last step here, it's usually not the last step, but we also add whenever we detect the most relevant people, we also add the LinkedIn step here. So for example, we go here, we click LinkedIn, and over here, we can either send the message, connect with people, or probably send the email. Sometimes we do this in several steps. One of them, we go to the LinkedIn and we just visit those, view the profile automatically. We don't need to do any manual actions. In this case, people will see our they will see the notification that we visited their profile, and we're still not selling them anything, right, at all. But after that, we're gonna send them the connection request, and after that, we're gonna send one more follow-up, right? Then one more follow-up here. Then we're going to send one more LinkedIn connection request, etc., etc. So at the end of the day, your all campaign should be fully relevant and right to the point. So you should actually test the value proposition, the ICP and buyer persona match by sending the right to the point emails. Try to personalize it maximum as it's possible. Also, on top of that, try to randomize it so ESP providers cannot detect that you're sending similar emails, and try to go multi-channel whenever it's actually needed and relevant. So this campaign actually generated us 33 leads out of 500 companies, 500 people we reached out to. Imagine 33 leads, sales qualified leads. So I see that we are running out of time a little bit, right? So in this case, guys, please tell us, do you need some, like, you see that we shared a lot of things here. We shared the ICP, the buyer persona, the formula, the N8N workflow, some other things. Do you want us to share all of those materials to you, or we can keep it for ourselves? Yeah, just say yes or no. It's fine if you say no. I mean, I'm not gonna send to you. So just, yeah, okay, yes. Okay, awesome. So right now, there are a few things. The first one, please, let's connect on LinkedIn. So again, here is Jack's LinkedIn profile. And if you say to Jack, okay, so here's the Jack's LinkedIn profile. And if you say to Jack that you are from the webinar, Jack might prepare some great bonus for you. Also, here is my LinkedIn profile. Okay, just feel free to reach out to me as well. Also, if you want an amazing email validation and not only platform, go and sign up for the ZeroBounce. Again, if you want some special deals, go to Jack and talk to him. If you need some help with the cold email infrastructure, we act as the fractional cold email infrastructure, and we can handle all of those technical details for you and do the setup for you. So feel free to submit the form and we're going to chat. If you're not quite sure about your current cold email deliverability, we can do a small and quick deliverability audit to see what's going on with your current email reputation. And of course, if you need the recording and all the materials, we're going to send to you during today or tomorrow, all the materials, all the links, everything. So no worries about those things at all. Thanks a lot. Jack, how did you enjoy that?
Yeah, that was great, Ilya. Tons of good information. Like you said, everyone, feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn, and I might be able to help you out with a little bonus. Just let me know you're in the webinar.
Awesome. Again, feel free to reach out to me. Feel free to reach out to Jack. Thanks a lot for joining the webinar. I love you all, and have an amazing day. Bye-bye.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.